history has died, and with it spring. The last band of coastal brigands is crawling down the mountain to visit us.
Once was a boy and he rode through the meadows on a pony with a golden mane. Fun and joy was the mare to the boy as they rode off together.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Psychic Eric here. Got another special video for you today. I'm going to be doing another label spotlight video, and today we're talking about the MGM record label. And only strictly MGM, not any sub-labels like Verve Forecast or Music Factory. Strictly MGM. And obviously, it's titled Top 10 Psychedelic Records, which, give or take, most of them fall in that category, but at least we're talking about the records from the prime years, you know, talking 66 to early 70s, like 73, around there. So psychedelic in a very broad, loose term as always, but they still managed to fit in these circuits, and I still think some of these records I have listed on the notepad in very tiny print are worth mentioning for the right listener, I think. So even if they didn't make the top 10, there's a lot here that I kind of had to review over the past week, and I think I got it narrowed down pretty well. So before we dive into the top 10, I'm going to share, this is basically all I have, this huge stack right here. And then I got some 4 back behind me here. Beacon Street Union. And these are actually albums that did not make the top 10. Spoiler alert. Beacon Street Union, first album. It's got some good tracks on it, but side 1 is severely slow for me. Picks up on side 2. Chrysalis, first album. Really dig it. Not necessarily one that I would consider in the top 10. Same as the first Every Mother's Son. Kind of like a frat, bubblegum kind of group. And then we got later period record there by the Animals. Love Is, which I picked up not too long ago. So basically, and I got a few more I'm going to share too, but let's review some of the others that I kind of jotted down that did not make the top 10 list that might be of interest to you guys, and just worth at least highlighting. And I'll try inserting some different clip arts so you guys get a little image of what this looks like, if it has a unique cover and so forth. And I'm probably not going to dump a whole lot of photo clip art on here because my phone, for some reason, likes to freeze up on me if I put too many edits in for some odd reason. I got a new phone, but I'm still recording on my old one because I think the picture's a little better. But anyways, we're going to start off with it's a band called Song with an album called Song Album. I think it came out in the early 70s. It's kind of like a pre-power pop kind of thing. Didn't make the list. Orpheus. I actually have no Orpheus records. I think their first 3 were on MGM. I kind of cherry pick some songs I like of theirs. I don't like all their songs. Joyful, isn't that their 3rd one? I really enjoy some tracks on there. And of course, obviously the first one, Ascending. I don't really remember much. Didn't leave that much of an impression on me. Continuing on, AB Sky. They had a couple records on there. I think they're more blues rock oriented. No. Kangaroo. I'm actually looking for their album on MGM. It's like a male-female harmonies, kind of folk rock, but it's got some cool fuzz guitar leads on a few tracks, and just never seen a copy in person. Simon Stokes and the Nighthawks. I used to have this one. It's kind of more of a blues rocker, but kind of more on the hard edge than straight up blues rock. Goes for a little bit of money, like $40 roughly, so I used to have that one. I used to have a promo of that. It's pretty good, but traded it for something better. Rock Candy, another one that you typically see. I think it's kind of more bubblegummy, but maybe with a more kind of straightforward hard rock direction. Bodine, this is a really good one. Did not make the top 10. This is actually one I'm still looking for though. It's kind of a mixture of flavors, rural rock, kind of a West Coast sound, kind of funky in spots. Really cool looking cover. I just never see it. Locomotive, another one that it's kind of a straightforward rocker. I think it came out in like '69, kind of a late '60s piece. Still looking for that one if I find it for cheap. Velvet Underground, self-titled. I do not own this one. And speaking of that one, according to Rate Your Music, and it makes total sense, but it's the highest rated or highest ranked MGM record of all time on there, so makes a lot of sense, but do not have the closet mix of that one yet. Herman's Hermits, again, I pick and choose some of my favorite tracks from them. I don't love all their tracks, but I probably would never pick up any of their LPs. I see them all the time. Blaze, it's got a cool cover. Not too big on it though. David Hemmings, the actor, with his album Happens. David Hemmings Happens. I used to have that record, and I got a poster of Blow Up in that corner there, which you can't see right now. But obviously he's most famous for that, and yeah, I used to have that record. It's kind of more of a raga rock, kind of Middle Eastern. It's got a few good tracks, but I just didn't play it very much, so got kicked to the curb. Coven, self-titled, the same Coven that released Witchcraft on Mercury, and they kind of went in a more straightforward top 40, marketable pop direction. Once I got signed on to MGM because of the Billy Jack theme, 110 Soldier. I ain't gonna make the list. Osmonds, The Plan. It's got some cool tracks on it. I had to mention the Osmonds. I mean, they kind of released a lot of LPs on there. In the early 70s, they kind of turned more into a hard rock family group. Don't know if it works or not, but it's just a little footnote in here. Fatwater, no, not for me. If you guys like Janis Joplin, Big Brother, blues rock, go ahead. It's not for me, man. Sun Dragon, Green Tambourine. I think that only got released in UK, is that right? I haven't listened to this in a while, but my last impression of it was not, I'm not crazy about it, but I'd definitely pick it up if I spotted it. Gentrys, the Gentrys with, it's that guy, he went on to WWF. Yep, I'm forgetting his name. Keep on Dancing was their big hit. Did not make the list. J.F. Murphy and Free Flowing Salt. Again, you might be noticing a trend as we go on this list that it kind of gets more obscure as we go on. Some of these I had not even listened to, and some of these are not even up on streaming on YouTube or anything. Universe Jones, Volume 1. I listened to a little bit of that. It's kind of more of a psychedelic soul, early 70s kind of flavor to it. Kind of mainstream sounding. The Corporate Body, Prospectus 69. I did not like that one. Nope. Cyril Havermans, who was with Focus, I found out, and his solo record on MGM came out in '73. I listened to that for the first time. That's definitely on my want list. I'll probably pick up a copy on Discogs. It's like $5 all day. It's kind of more like a psychedelic folk kind of sound. Really odd production going on there. Really enjoyed it. Goodness and Mercy. Don't know a whole lot about them. They kind of look more like a Ohio Express, maybe a soulful band. But from what I've listened to online in the past, not worth mentioning. And then I just found this one out, 6680 Lexington. Couldn't find any clips online of that. And then the last one I have here, Moccasin. Just found out about this one. The cover looks interesting. It's kind of like looks like maybe a country rock sort of thing, but maybe not the good kind of country rock, not Graham Parsons, but maybe more yacht rocky Eagles kind of stuff. I don't know. Gotta listen to that one yet. I'm going to show a few others that did not make the list that I do own. Besides the few in the back behind me, got 3 others here. The Trout on MGM. It's kind of more of a sunshine pop. Think Spanky and Our Gang. you know, sort of Broadway style Sunshine pop. It's actually pretty good though. It's kind of warmed up on me. And kind of folky, harmony driven, cool sound effects. It's still good though. You can find this one for like stupid cheap. This is a fairly recent turn on, Paige Claire. Got this one in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm kind of hunting this one down. It's going for a little bit of money. Kind of reminds me of that album by Michelle, Saturn Rings on ABC. Kind of reminds me of that album. It's got kind of a whimsical, folky production, but kind of, I don't know, more vocal pop than anything, I think, but interesting effects moving throughout. So, pretty good. It's a very gentle listen. And then the Cowsills, 2x2. I only have this one and their debut. I'm still looking for the one with the sad clown on it. Captain Sad, yeah. Still looking for that one. Apparently that one's kind of hard to find. These are definitely some used copies, so, you know, I'm not really caring too much about the condition, but they get a little darker on this one. Definitely some dark writings on here. And don't sleep on the Cowsills, man. They get some pretty good cuts on here. Night Shift, The Prophecy of Daniel and John the Divine. When the Cowsills start singing about 666, look out, man. And yeah. So with that said, let's dive into the top 10. I should also mention too, this is not like the most definitive list on the MGM, like these are the top 10 psych records. I mean, it's more like personal picks for me, just what I enjoy off the label and what I think's maybe the strongest. So don't think of it any way other than that, even though they are really good examples, but it's not like this is what it is. This is the ultimate list. No, I never have that attitude. The first one I actually do not own. Comes at number 10, and I mentioned it earlier, the Velvet Underground self-titled. Is it psychedelic? Arguably, but it's pretty much like a straightforward, you know, at this period, Velvet Underground kind of get more stripped down, gentle, very soft, sort of acoustic backing, not as noisy as their last two, which I kind of like, and it definitely is my favorite of the Velvet Underground. I'm not too big on the band in general. I do have Velvet Underground Nico that I picked up like over 10 years ago now, but it's kind of more of like a historical piece in the collection more than a actual listen for the most part. But yeah, the third one I definitely would say kind of sides with me the best. What Goes On, one of my favorite tracks by him. Interesting. I probably do prefer the Closet mix too. You know, it sounds a lot more intimate, and you can definitely hear some more of the clarity in the guitar strings. And I hear a lot of Mac DeMarco in there. That's definitely what I hear in there. But yeah, the Murder Mystery, how can you go wrong? It's an experiment of sorts. After Hours pretty much predates any indie pop. It's got a lot going for it. It's pretty influential, even for how sparse it is. So definitely makes the cut. The thing about Velvet Underground though, like, I don't want to hear about rubbing jelly on someone's shoulder and shit. It's like, that's not for me. Dingy NYC sort of outlook on life, but I'm not a lyric guy, so you just gotta go move past it. But anyways, number 9, this is one that I do own. I'm gonna use this in the intro of the video. Every Mother's Son's Back. And this is one you can pick up for stupid cheap. Like $5 or less maybe. It's got a little gimmick cover here. This is a step up over their debut album for sure. A lot of great pop songs on here. Rainflowers, Proper 4-Leaf Clover, Dolls on a Clock, Sally. It's a lot of single-worthy stuff. I think a lot of these songs were singles too, but I think it didn't do as well as the first one with their big hit, Come On Down to My Boat. But this is definitely, they're kind of moving a little more original material. I don't know if they were originally writing stuff on the first one, but this sounds more original. You can definitely tell they're kind of tapping into like some Sgt. Peppery kind of things on here. And it's just better than you would expect from this kind of white teeth, clean cut looking boys on the back here, you know. So that's a fairly clean copy, you know. Can always spot this for cheap if I need an upgrade, but it's pretty nice. So yeah, definitely check it out. I'll leave a little sample at the beginning so you get a taste of it. This is one that I think a lot of people sleep on, so yeah. Every Mother's Son's Back. Number 9. Number 8. Oh, this is one I do not own. I used to own The Twain Shall Meet by the Animals. I think it's their strongest psych effort. You know, tracks like Monterey, Sky Pilot, the whole full-length cut on there, All Is One, Orange and Red Beams. It's full of amazing stuff on there. Great use of effects. Eric Burdon, he's kind of one of those vocalists for me, a lot like Van Morrison. I can't listen to him all day, I'll get a headache. It's kind of that white boy soul kind of approach. It's not my bag, but it still works pretty well for this record, and I think he's doing a pretty good job with his delivery on most tracks. Good consistent flow. It seems to kind of just truck along and kind of dipping into the psych era with the Animals. So number 7. This is one that I do own. I think the rest of these I do own. Yeah. I'm talking about Bloomsberry People. I think they're based out of the Midwest, maybe Wisconsin, Minnesota, around there. This is kind of famous for having Sigmund Snopek III, who would later become famous for his like electronic work going on. He's on keyboards on this. Looking at the whole cover here, you might not think too much about this. You know, it looks maybe like your standard kind of pop record or something. But overall, I'd say stylistically, it's sort of in the progressive psych rock vein. Maybe a little bit on the garage side with tracks like Witch Helen. I'd say side 1's the strongest, but side 2 gets a little forgettable, gets a little too progressive with a suite, doing a classical thing. Yeah, Witch Helen, Have You Seen Them Cry? Golden Lion. And it's got some cool effects moving throughout as well. I love my effects on these kind of records, and good quality writing for sure. Nice clarity, mixed really well. And I'm just noticing right here, A&R coordinator Michael Lloyd. Is it the same Michael Lloyd? I had no idea he was behind this. That's kind of crazy. Says it was recorded in Chicago, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they're from like Minnesota or Wisconsin, around there. It was in the shrink when I originally got this. I don't know why I took it off, but had a cool like price tag on it, like 49 cents or something. It's a classic MGM label there. This is probably my preferred label over the black styled one, the old style, which I think once Beacon Street Union came out, the first press of that one has the black trim on it, and but this is a later, like soon after, later on in the year or the year after, pressing on the blue and gold label. So check out Bloomsberry People. Number 6. This one drops in at number 6. This is Rainbow by Bobby Calender. Again, sort of a Middle Eastern, very spiritual, very meditative listen, and naturally just pours psychedelia from this one. I forget where he's from. It says it's produced by Alan Lorber, who is a very familiar name when it comes to a lot of MGM titles, but also the Bosstown sound. And this is just very free-flowing. He's not even really singing. It's kind of coming from this state of consciousness kind of thing. Very hippy-dippy, trippy stuff, man, and in the good way. Some people might think it's kind of gimmicky, kind of hokey in that sort of light, the way it comes off, but I'd say if it had a better mix, maybe I'd appreciate it more, but Purple is a great standout, as well as Sade Massage, or however you pronounce it, and Autumn, I think it's the other one. Yeah, this is one to dive into, like a late night spiritual trip, man. This is really good. Comes with a lyric insert as well. So, definitely the poetic type. I'm just high on life. So, yeah, recommended. I do not have a second album. Not as familiar with it yet. I've always been meaning to listen to it. Just haven't got around to it or forget about it. So I'll get to it someday. Then we're at number 5. Ultimate Spinach. Self-titled debut. Pretty classic title here on the MGM. Love that back shot there. And the whole effect. It's really good sleeve design here. Classic design. The spinach just keeps on growing. Is it spinach or is it something else? We don't know. Yeah, it's a pretty nice copy. I think I found this... Where did I find this? I think this was online. I think I saw a similar copy like a day after or something in Omaha. I think it was a lot cheaper than what I paid. But the prices just kind of range all over the place with this one. Sometimes you find them at $25 and anywhere up towards 100. The same goes for the next one too. So considering the condition on this one though, I'm pretty pleased. Came out really good. Oh, what's some big highlights on here, man? Of course, Ballad of the Hip Death Goddess. Your Head is Reeling. Pamela is a great closing track too. I think, yeah, the first two, or no, the second track, Sacrifice of the Moon, is in 4 different segments. It's kind of interesting piece. And each track almost always opens up with a delay-ridden narration. So, yeah, Ian Bruce Douglas, he's a crazy dude, man. Number 4. Used to have a promo copy of this, and I upgraded to a stock copy. This is also from Lawrence, Kansas. Puff. Really laud this one. This is, again, another Alan Lorber project. I think they're from Boston as well. Part of the Boss Town sound. Sort of some gimmick they were trying to promote. Didn't really latch on, I don't think, but it definitely produced some interesting bands. Yeah, and I should also mention, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but pretty much all these in the top 10 are, you know, rated from 4 stars and up. So I think once we get to the number 5 spot, these are all like 4.5 out of 5 stars. Don't exceed that, but they're always, these are staying at 4.5. But yeah, Puff, they were kind of more of a, pretty much a psych pop band. You know, half and half, good pop and good psych. You got tracks like Rainy Day, it's a fun track, Trees, and I Sure Need You, which might be my favorite kind of floaty, almost like H.P. Lovecraft-like kind of track. Changes, Go With You. Doesn't really rock out too much, but they got the dreamy pop psych style down pretty much. These guys started as the Rockin' Ramrods, sort of an early garage kind of thing. Yeah, this cover art's kind of interesting too. It's almost like they just kind of waltzed in some, you know, bargain bin shop and just put on these old ladies' clothes or something. I don't know what's going on. But I love it, man. Puff. And then number 3, down to the top 3. These are the best on the label. Not really, but they're my personal favorites, the ones I rate pretty highly. It's not really a list to take too seriously, it's just a fun topic, but had to include this, man. I listened to this one, well, way back when, way too much, but this is Chameleon Church, Still in the Shrink. This is one that I unsealed when I first bought it. Obviously famous for Mr. Chevy Chase, who was the drummer on this one and did some piano work, I think. Yeah. And I love this one, man. I was watching there's a YouTube channel out there. I forget the guy's name, but he's been interviewing a lot of cool people. People from like the New Dawn, J.F. McMahon, and even Ted Myers of the group, who put a little insight into what the deal was behind these sessions. I think these guys were kind of living together at the time. Ted was mentioning, and they practiced maybe for about a couple weeks, and then went to the studio and released this thing. But I guess they weren't really happy initially with the mix, especially like Chevy Chase and Ted himself. I think the whole band was pretty much upset, kind of the direction they were trying to push this in, because they were kind of thinking in the mentality of like pushing some poppy stuff, with a punch, kind of like some Beatles kind of material. But it kind of turned into more of like a vocal-driven, dreamier aspects kind of styled pop. And I think later on he's gone on to say that he kind of appreciated that over the years, and it's kind of grown on him. But I've loved this from the beginning, man. This has got one of my all-time favorite tracks. Camellia is Changing. The single off of here is just dream pop bliss, man. Just washed in reverb. I love that track. Blueberry Pie, Tompkins Square Park, Off with the Old. It's got some cool sitar things going on. Yeah, I mean, the mix could definitely be better. The drums are very buried in the mix, but otherwise, I think the writing's pretty strong on this one. It's a very fun record. The mixes online on YouTube don't sound as good. They even sound more drained than the LP does. If you can find this out in the wild, I think it goes for about $50 on average, maybe. So it goes for a little bit because of the, claim to fame Chevy Chase on there. So get a shot of the label on this one. I think this is on the blue and gold as well. Still a very nice copy here. Generic sleeve that came with all the MGM records here. Got Every Mother's Son. You got, who else on here? Well, that's Eric Burden. I'm trying to see if I recognize them. I guess they're all the artists here in the center there. And Herman's Hermits. It's kind of a cool little collage there. Is that Roy Orbison? Yeah. I was wondering who that was. It's pretty recognizable though. And this is how it looked when it was sealed. It's got that little bent little flap there. So there's that one, and now we're down to the final two. Can you guess what they are yet? Yeah, is it cheating? We're putting this band in twice. Behold and See, Ultimate Spinach. I think this one's kind of a step up over the debut record. I upgraded the cover. I still kept the record I have, but I upgraded to the sleeve because this was a lot better shape. It had some sleeve, it had some shrink on it, but I took it off. It was just kind of falling apart, but it kept up pretty well. And yeah, this one gets in a little more, it's not so much a concept record, but it's just stronger material. I think it just comes together better. You got tracks like Visions of Your Reality, Jazz Thing, obviously Mind Flowers is a big one. And then one of my favorites on side 2, Where You're At. It's a little bit of like After Bathing at Baxter's era, kind of Jefferson Airplane sounding. It's really good. And then towards the end it gets a little more progressive. You got some suites and stuff they kind of move through. The Sweet Genesis of Beauty, Fifth Horseman of the Apocalypse, and so forth. So it's kind of some lengthy tracks. Very few pop like singles to pull from this one, but I think it's a very strong one. It's definitely the first one that kind of reeled me into the band. And then finally, number 1, you guessed it, Kyle. Just kidding. Nobody likes Kyle. We're talking about Chrysalis. 1968. This is their album called Definition. It's got an interesting gatefold here. It's like almost a foil, silver foil kind of reflective, but different material than it is on the front and the back. And I think this is this band originated from Dom's area. Is that right? Sort of around Ithaca, I think. And yeah, this is some great stuff, man. I am pretty confident in putting this #1. I listen to this quite a bit, and the more I listen to it too, it's just the songwriting is just pretty impressive, really. It's a little complex. It's got a lot of interesting arrangements moving throughout. What Will Become of the Morning, Lace Wing, Cynthia Jerome, even 30 Poplar, like the old ragtimey kind of track, is even kind of cool. Father's Getting Old gets a little heavier in spots, and Dr. Root's Garden ends on a really crazy, almost Zappa-like note. It all makes sense because there was some Zappa connections with this group. I think he discovered them and put them on MGM, is that right? But it also features, well, the leader, I forget his name, but I know his nickname is Spider. And this gentleman here, he gets some credit on We're Only In It For The Money on that album. And so they had some kind of close connections there. Otherwise, a lot of songs about like bugs and insects and nature and just weird topics, but I really enjoy it though. Definitely pop oriented, but it's coming from this very complicated, abstract kind of way, and for that reason makes the top of the chart here. So yeah, this is also on the blue and gold label. It's a fairly used copy. I don't think I need to upgrade, but got this for $10. It's got a kind of nasty mark, but plays through. I got this for like $10 on eBay one time, like over 10 years ago again. It's kind of crazy how all these albums I picked up early on are turning 10 on the shelves. It's wild. Chrysalis, #1. Over Velvet Underground. Well, anyways, you be the judge there, but and there you have it. Just a little video here to talk about the MGM label, do a little spotlight. Yeah, I didn't go really into like the history behind it or what else produced from there. And, you know, a lot of country records as well early on. And, you know, obviously Hank Williams kind of made the label, and C.W. McCall, different artists like that. So let me know what your top 5 are in the comments section if you'd like. Let me know what you guys think of the list. Until next time, we'll see you down the road.